Hi, I'm Shang. Welcome to my channel where I share tips, strategies, and lessons that bring us closer to the best versions of ourselves. Mind mapping is my go-to method of organizing life's chaos and information. And today, I want to share with you 4 reasons why it might be helpful for you too. Number 1, it helps offload our brains. If you're like me and you have a million thoughts involved with a gazillion different projects and juggling a lot of different things, it can get really overwhelming very quickly. Mind mapping is a way to offload all of that onto a piece of paper or a software and really expand out the complexities without it being stuck in my brain. Overthinking stuff, you can go into a loop of processing, right? And it can get pretty stressful. So when I offload this memory, this knowledge, or trying to learn something new onto a piece of paper with mind mapping, that means all of that is now offloaded and very clear for me to actually start dissecting each of the individual components and address them as parts rather than the whole. And this is all part of systems thinking and analytical thinking. The ability to take a complex system or project and break it down into its individual simplistic parts so it becomes more manageable. Number 2, it's great for non-linear thinking. Life is non-linear a lot of times, right? Especially for projects that are in the ideation phase, it could go any which way. So what I love doing is if I'm the beginning phases of, let's say, planning one of these videos or doing my website or organizing like an event, I like to mind map things out first to break out the individual components. So for example, let's say you're organizing a 100-person event. On the surface, it seems really overwhelming. And there's a whole deadline, there's a whole guest list, there's a whole purpose, there's a whole process and operations that goes into it. So what I like to do in the beginning stages is to mind map out everything. Nothing is left unturned. For example, I will list out the guest list, the purpose of the event, what kind of caterers do I need, what is the timeline, who do I need to contact, who are the speakers, right? These are all components that can be broken up and expanded in a mind map so that it's not just stuck in my head. And again, this is also non-linear at the moment because I'm just brainstorming at the end of the day. It doesn't need to be in a bullet point list yet. When it goes into a Kanban board or a bullet point list, that is when the structure needs to happen or a sequence needs to happen. But in the beginning stages of a project, I really find it helpful to just blow out the complexity without worrying about that structure. And the same thing can be applied to meetings. And I've done a previous video about how meetings can be really chaotic and nonlinear. People are jumping between different topics, going back and forth, and it's hard to actually start making those connections, and it's very easy to get lost in those. Mind mapping is my go-to way to actually make sure that I'm absorbing all the information, but also keeping track of all the different connections so that I can summarize it in meeting notes or what have you. Number 3 is it's cheap and accessible. I mean, all you need really is a notebook, a piece of paper, and some pens, right? It doesn't get easier than that. You don't need a fancy iPad or Apple Pencil, although that might help actually, as well as software. But at its most basic essence, you're gonna get 80% there with just a piece of paper and a pen. Number 4 is more of a bonus because it doesn't necessarily apply to me, but I've gotten very positive feedback from folks with ADHD around the mind mapping tutorials I've done, which isn't really surprising because mind mapping is such a powerful way of offloading our minds. And if you're jumping between different topics and thoughts, then it makes sense to be able to capture that in a piece of paper or externalize it somewhere else and then come back to it without losing those connections as well as the continuity of your thoughts. And honestly, these days, all of us are really distracted, right? With all the things going on in the world, with all the different activities that's going on in our lives, that we are fragmented. And this is where I've personally felt that mind mapping has really helped in organizing all of my life's chaos. All right, folks, these are the 4 reasons why I think you should be mind mapping too. If you're interested in learning more about this process, check out the links below for tutorials. I've done walkthroughs around product design, about risk analysis, to-do lists, intentional living. All of these involve mind mapping. So feel free to check out those. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. All right, until next time, take care.